My name is Noel Bryan Ebanks. I'm known as Captain Bryan. I have lived here in West Bay for over 20 years, and I love it where I am. It has a lot of trees, and it's just beautiful. And I wouldn't give it up for anywhere else on the island. Yeah, Georgetown Harbor was a happy place. We went to school in Georgetown on the harbor. The kids swam in the coves after school or on Sundays. They fished in the coves. In those days, there was a lot of marine life in those coves. Lots of sprats, jacks, and you could see, oh God, 15, 20 people in the evening standing there catching fish. You know, it's not like that today. But we understand global warming, so we understand nothing is as it was. But I want to add this thing. One of the most fantastic things about Georgetown Harbor was, and I went to school there, which was Dobson Hall. I went to school there. The schools were all lined up along the Iron Shore. And one of the most pleasing sights for me was the old cotton tree. It stood approximately 250 feet tall. It would have taken approximately 20 men, finger to finger, to encompass the root system of that tree, if not more. And like all other bad political decisions we've made in this country, we chopped it down. Well, it was important to Caymanians because that was where all the goods came in. And as I can remember, all the shops were built right around the bay. So you could take a wheelbarrow and literally get your supplies from the ships, and some people did, and wheel it to your store. It was not uncommon to see a guy pushing a drum of kerosene oil up to someone's shop along the road. It was that close. So that was a reason why we evolved around the bay. Not because it was the best and safest harbor, but because it was what we could afford at the time. Well, they'd bring them ashore, take them off the boat, put them on the dock, and then they'd move them to the old market, which is still there in town, but it's now a gift shop. You know, and the turtles would be laid out there on their backs. It was humane, and their fins would be tied so they wouldn't get away and get swimming again. And they would go to market, and you could go there and 6 o'clock in the morning, if you're lucky, to get turtle meat. It was a treat. Yeah, the thing is that turtles, you know, I mean, what we got to take, when we think about turtles, the turtles were used to coming ashore here from time immemorial. This was a turtle island. In fact, what they say was a turtle and alligator island. They call them the Cayman's alligator, small alligator. And of course, there was enough turtle for the Caymans to feed on some of the turtles and still be a healthy turtle population. And of course, and then we arrived, man. And we decimated the turtle population. So we have a few turtles, and they will come up in the bay and onto the 7 Mile Beach, but not in any great number, because we did such a fine job. Yeah, I used to love turtle meat. I could eat 15 pounds of it. Nothing like green turtle. I went to sea when I was 14. And one of my biggest memories is almost getting washed overboard in the Atlantic, middle of the Atlantic. I was leaving the lower deck to go up to my job in the wheelhouse, and I was on the back deck, and a sea came and it crashed me into the rail, and I was looking at the ocean. So I was one of the lucky few. It was dangerous, but it was exciting. I gotta tell you, it was exciting. And we were proud because they told us we were the world's best seamen. I'm not sure if that was true, but that's what they told us, and we believed it. I know we were cheap, we were easy and affordable for those companies to use, so I'm not sure what part of it played the major role. But we were intelligent, we loved our jobs, and we did them well. That's when we weren't really having a drink and socializing too much, because that came along with being a seaman, right? It allowed us to work, and in fact, there was a system put in place where you had an allotment system, where the ship would automatically hold some money for you to send home to your mother, wife, children. And that was really important, because some of the guys would get a little bit interested in all the things they saw around them and maybe hitting the booze too much. But it was important. That's how you got your house built. Without that, there would have been no buying of land for the local people that didn't have land, and no building of houses. So I'm going to elaborate on this. What we do, those that are really caring and were ambitious would go to sea, and the first trip out, you would be able to secure a piece of land if that was your ambition. And the second out, you'd build your foundation. And the next trip out, maybe you can take your building up to the belting. And the next one, you put your roof on. And after that, you worried about getting the doors on, the windows in, and move in, because you're now home. Okay, first, I like to say this because so people understand I have a stake in all this. I've been in the cruise industry business for the last, I don't want to give away any secrets, but let's say 35 years, maybe a little more, but let's just leave it at that. I have at present, I have 3 boats. Actually, it's 4, one's in the yard. And I have 4 buses. Now, without cruise ship business, they won't work, and that revenue will be gone. So I have a stake in this, and I want to see the business continue. And I am much aware, and I believe this to my heart, if we do not become responsible and create a dock in a safe harbor, and the word is safe harbor, right? I think we're going to lose this business. Now, when you talk about building a dock in Georgetown Harbor, we have to understand, number one, Georgetown is not a safe harbor. If there's a northwester, even a slight one, as we have had this last week on 2 different occasions, the boats have had to go to spots. Just from the surge and the currents, the boats couldn't. Now, we have to also understand that these mega ships will be more affected by bad weather and the surge of currents than the smaller ships. So it doesn't make it a safe harbor. And my concern is if government decides to invest what we don't have, the amount of money it's going to take to build a facility in an unsafe harbor, that it will be left to my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and maybe their children to try to pay for this, which may prove to be impossible. Now, understand, I would like to see a dock, but there needs to be a dock put in a safe harbor. There needs to be a dock. When you invest in that dock, it's in a safe harbor. If you have to use it for something else, you can, because it's in a safe harbor. It's a credit to the Cayman Islands. Don't just build a dock because a bunch of donors want the dock next to their door. We've done that before. Just look at our garbage dump. It's in Georgetown, middle of Georgetown, because the donors wanted it close to the door. Mr. Berkeley built that dock because we could not afford to put it where it needed to go. It's simple. It was a matter of economics. We didn't have the money in those days, right, to do the right thing. And besides, the ships were small and our supply was smaller. So it was to get by. Now, back then, Captain Theo, Captain Charles, Captain Hurlston, Captain McCoy, all of these major captains understood You do not invest in a dock in an unsafe harbor because it's not an investment. It's like building your house in the middle of the street. You don't do that. Now, I understand there's people who their first thought is, I have to make $1. Well, that's true. But if your dollar is going to be made at the expense of the future generations of the Caymanian people and the children, I don't think I want to pay that $1 out to you. It's simple. I've been to the mountain. It is no longer about me. The future belongs to the youth, to the unborn. Most of us who have seen the things that I have seen and have reaped the benefits of this island when it was affordable to us to reap, we're fine, right? But the future generation is not fine. They live in a country where they can't afford to buy a piece of land, where they can't afford a house, because at the completion of buying a piece of land and a 2-bedroom house, we're looking at close to $1 million. The banks will not even interview them after they've applied for a loan. Why? Because they can't qualify. Even with a master's degree and working 3 or 4 years for government, they cannot qualify. They are now writing home to their families from England and United States and saying, Mom and Pops, we're not coming back because there's no future in the Cayman Islands for us. We can't buy a home. We can't buy a piece of land. The opportunities here look much better. We're in a crisis moment. And no one seems to understand this. Everybody's going about his way like everything is fine. Everything is hunky-dory. And when I speak to West Bay families, particularly women, their voices, the bank won't even respond to my son. I feel sorry for my children. Well, I tell them, you know, you shouldn't feel sorry for your children. You should rebel, right? You should rebel because it can't help your children feeling sorry for them. So my great concern of my time is the future generations, not me. We know that's a trick question because we know that the powers that was and all those that are involved want the dock in Georgetown. So it's a trick question to begin with. Why not give us an option? Don't tell me any foolishness about, oh, this is the easiest way to do it. No, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear about what's a proper way to do it. Give me an option. Do your research, government. Locate, whether it's 1 or 2 locations, just like you have done for the commercial dock. You've done that for them, but yet you don't do it for this because your intention is to put it in Georgetown, which I believe will be very destructive in the long run, right? So my question, my suggestion, what you should do, they have boxed you into a corner because they understand that most of you are in the tourism business. And all they want to do is get a yes so they can go build it in Georgetown. They don't care. I don't know how else to give you advice. I cannot give you advice not to vote. But when you do vote, remember, it's a trick question. They're not disclosing their intention or they're not giving you any options. It's political. I read the report which it was suggested to me to read it. I got a feeling that the person that suggested it thought that I wouldn't. I did. It talks about dredging Georgetown Harbor down to 40 feet. But there's a caveat there. We are going to have, they say, sediment problems. So we're going to dig in the berths, dig it deeper in the berths. Deeper, how deeper? 60 feet? They have not said. So when you see these things, it simply means it is up to the discretion of the engineers. They also have to dig an area which is wide enough to allow some kind of swinging area or turning area for these ships. It means so those reefs have to go. It means all those reefs in front of where my grandmother's shop used to be have to go. All of them. So you got a bald-headed man living in the harbor. You got nothing there. And then worse, they tell you, oh, sediment, no problem. Once you dig into the limestone, it will leach from now till forever. Every time you have a northwester, it will leach. And when it leaches, the current travels going to the north around 3 knots in a northwester. I know this from the time I was a child, right? That means all that white sediment will be flowing down, going down the 7 Mile beach, and it will be smothering all the coral all the way to West Bay. Is this what you want? I understand. We're all desperate for the dollar. Those are not the only things that will happen. I am majorly concerned that when they build the upland piece of real estate, which I have seen in their plans, that this is going to cut off the escalator which brings the sand around from the south side of this island that helps to feed the 7 Mile beach. We've already cut off the escalator to the north. So you're going to cut off the one to the south? The 7 Mile beach is our gem. Without it, we have no island. Understand that. We have no tourism, whether it's land-based or ship-based, we have no tourism. That must be our priority. That must be the focus of all our energy, the preservation of the 7 Mile beach. Not just to do something and then hope afterwards it'll turn out okay. We've seen those political decisions before. I could list them, but the photographer doesn't have the time. Okay? The other thing I'm concerned about is when you dig Georgetown Harbor down to 50 or 60 feet, what is going to happen in a northwester or hurricane? The more water in the harbor there is, the more water there will be in the land. The larger the waves will be coming ashore. I estimate that all those buildings on the waterfront, along Hogside Bay, will not just cease to exist. There'll be rubble. The water will flow from the port all the way to Eastern Avenue because it runs downhill. I know you never checked it out, but it runs downhill from the port. Okay? It runs down by the post office. Take a look at the road. It goes down. That's how far it'll run. Is this what we want? To spend millions of dollars on? An unsafe harbor, endangering Georgetown Harbor, putting those same donors that want Georgetown, that port to be there, their business at risk, and creating a debt for future generations that they will not be able to pay. There are those who will be grateful and they'll come to your rescue, but they will own your country.